Okay, Michigan State fans, if we would have told you before the season started that you would be 9-2 entering the final week of the season, 6-2 in the Big Ten, you would have taken that, I believe. So look at the bright side. Following what happened in Columbus, Ohio last Saturday, we got Ryan O'Blennis on the line from the Only Colors. Check him out on SB Nation and Michigan State football coverage. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing, Mark?
I am doing just fine. Appreciate you being here. Can you put that loss into words?
I think it just goes to show how Michigan State, like as you mentioned in the beginning, has made so much progress this year that nobody would have imagined, back in August, and I think that needs to be remembered. But also, it still goes to show, what happened Saturday is just, how Michigan State is still miles apart from a program like Ohio State. And to be fair, I think Ohio State is miles apart from any other Big Ten program too. But Michigan State has had some good starters, has some good starters this season, but they don't necessarily have the depth to compete against a team like Ohio State that has 4 and 5 star recruits as their 2 and 3 and 4 deep. So it's just a work in progress. Hopefully, Mel Tucker is able to close that talent gap somehow through recruiting and development eventually. But as of right now, I think that everybody expected Michigan State to be a lot more competitive than they did. But I don't think it's surprising that Ohio State won by a landslide.
Yeah, Ohio State's pretty much consistently been the best team in the conference for more than a decade, almost week to week, year to year. But also consider, in the last 3 years, they haven't lost a conference game. On the other hand, to give Michigan State some perspective on this, Michigan State fans, if those two teams played 10 times, that is the outlier. Ohio State's not going to go out there and do that to Michigan State every game. The perfect storm hit in regards to Kenneth Walker coming into the game with a bad ankle, not getting the kind of work that he typically would. Of course, the game got out of hand, and so he was taken out of the game in terms of being an impact. And that was, certainly an avenue that we talked about. A path to an upset was really wearing down the Ohio State defense with Kenneth Walker, 30, 35 carries, something like that. So that was taken out of play. And it doesn't in any way discount Ohio State's talent or their ability to do that to an opponent, just like they did to Purdue the week before. But it was the worst possible scenario for Michigan State. And if those two teams played 5 or 10 times, Ohio State's a better team decidedly, but that is the worst possible performance or outcome you could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that Michigan State's not going to perform that way again anytime soon. It was really hard to watch for Michigan State fans, and I know that the coaches and the players obviously weren't too happy with what happened, but they watch the film already, and hopefully they learn from it. Hopefully they build, and are able to compete with teams like that in the future.
So, of course, Michigan State's got a win against Michigan. They lost to Purdue, but now they take on one of the other prime teams in the Big Ten Eastern Division to finish off the season in Penn State. Aside from a few outliers, this has been the matchup that the Big Ten has put together for the final weekend just about every season for years and years and years and years. And, of course, Michigan State has the opportunity to get to a pretty prestigious bowl game and finish the regular season at 10-2. So, Ryan, I would think that would be plenty of motivation to get out there and finish strong.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot to play for. You got the land grant trophy, which is maybe one of the ugliest trophies in sports, but something that
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, something that the Spartans want to have in East Lansing. Penn State won it last year. And you still have an opportunity to win 10 games when the over-under at the beginning of the season and most betting websites, I think, was 4.5 for Michigan State. So, they also have the opportunity to go undefeated at home this year, which is a big deal. And it's senior day. They want to send these seniors off right. Even if some of them decide to come back for the extra year with the COVID waiver. We'll see, but there's still a lot to play for, and hopefully the fans come out and cheer the team on, and hopefully MSU can get that win. Penn State's still a pretty tough team, so I think that I think it's an important game. Close out the season.
Yeah, a tough team indicated by the point spread, which is pretty much a pick'em game. I'm checking out the land grant trophy here. Yeah, it's quite complicated. There's a lot of moving parts there.
A lot going on with that.
Typically you just have, a pig or a hammer or whatever the symbol is at the top of a nice little decadent trophy. But this thing's got all sorts of things hanging off of it in every such direction. Yes, it's
pretty sure it's been broken a couple of times.
What's that?
I said I'm pretty sure it's been broken a couple of times too.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it would be difficult to handle. All right, we got Ryan O'Blandis on the line talking Michigan State football. Sparty taking on Penn State. Final game of the season for both teams. Michigan State looking to finish 10-2. Jaden Reed, 47 catches, almost 1,000 yards, creeping up on that figure, 7 touchdowns, but may not be available for the Penn State game.
Yeah, he finished the Ohio State game in a walking boot, so it's not looking good. He didn't speak to the media today. They sent Trey Mosley out, which is probably another indication that, Reed isn't going to suit up. And then you still got Naylor, who's dealing with a hand injury, who might be out too. So, if both those guys are out, you got Mosley and Montori Foster and the freshman Keon Coleman, who had a nice little game against Ohio State, if any player had any kind of success against Ohio State, I guess. But, that's good to get Coleman on the field too for Reed and Naylor, the main playmakers at the wide receiver group. So, going against a Penn State defense that's only allowing 15.5 points per game, something like that, that's definitely going to make a difference when you don't have your number 1 and number 2 receiver out there. So, hopefully Walker's ankle's okay and they're able to ride him out. And actually with Walker, one thing I forgot to mention to you before we started the show too is that he is a finalist for the Doak Walker Award and the Maxwell Award. So it might be important for him to get this last game and do some damage so that he can, try to win those awards. I think he should have a really good chance at the Doak Walker Award. The Maxwell Award, it's between him, Pittsburgh's Kenny Pickett, and Alabama's Bryce Young. I don't know if he can beat Young for that, but I think, a solid performance this week will go a long way there. And then, also for any chance he still has at the Heisman Trophy, he'll need a big game. So, hopefully he's good to go, especially if Reed and Naylor are indeed out.
Yeah, to me, Kenneth Walker was the Heisman leader. I have nothing to back that up, but my own personal vote would have gone to Kenneth Walker prior to the Ohio State game. I just thought he was the most impactful player in the country and the best player in the country. Now, it being a quarterback award, and now with C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young both playing on enormous stages the next 2 weeks. So Stroud's going to play Michigan. That's going to be probably the most watched football game of the regular season, and then most likely move on to a Big Ten championship game. They've got to win the game, but move on to a Big Ten championship game, and then Bryce Young, of course, Iron Bowl, and another big stage in the SEC championship game, which could be the highest rated game of the year as well. I got to think it's going to be very difficult for Kenneth Walker to win it at this point, but he has certainly earned every accolade coming his way, whether that be, various running back awards and the like this season, because he's been remarkable. The Michigan State secondary, we talked about the weakness that it is. They did face probably the best offense in the country, best passing attack in the country, the best wide receiver room. I don't think there's any question. And I did look into some deeper statistics going into that game that, brought a little more perspective on the struggles that they had. It's one thing to say, the yardage totals say it's the worst secondary in the country. Another thing to still be in the top 30 to 35 in the country in pass per yards per pass attempt, which is a little bit better indicator of the efficiency of the other offense versus just total yardage, because as we talked about last week, Miami threw it 59 times, Indiana threw it 52 times. Teams just decided we can throw against this team, but we can't run against them. But the secondary obviously did struggle in this game against Ohio State. That's an understatement. But how do you size up the comments made by Mel Tucker after the game, and just the secondary in particular?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things there. I don't quite know to pinpoint it, if it's the personnel, if it's the scheme. There are a lot of injuries in the secondary. They had a player, former four-star recruit, in Kalen Gervin, who entered the transfer portal after the fourth game. You had Charles Brantley, the true freshman, who was starting to play really well, go down with an injury. I think Ronald Williams has been playing banged up back there. Xavier Henderson might have got banged up in that Ohio State game. So, I think a lot of the injuries are starting to mount up. And, what Mel Tucker said that he told his team back in August after they had a scrimmage was, I think that, we have the players to win just about every game in terms of the starters, but we might not have the depth to, be a championship level team. And I think that's what you're starting to see when these guys have gone down. Michigan State doesn't have a lot of guys back there who can come in and step up. And, they say the cliche that it's next man up mentality, but, when you got guys who are low-level recruits who are second and third string on your team going up against three probably NFL wide receivers at Ohio State, it's not going to go well. So, but yeah, Tucker's message to his team was just kind of, okay, we got blown out. What's next? How do you respond?
Yep, and it's a good lesson for life. Adversity, and how are you going to respond to that? Ryan O'Blennis on the line from The Only Colors. Please check out his work at SB Nation. Ryan, we appreciate you stopping by. Happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy the game against Penn State.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.